Dumb Husky and his white cat Shizun. Chapter 76. This venerable one meet that person again. Chu Wanning had never been a kindly teacher type, and Mo Ran wasn't a 5-year-old at his first lesson either. A cheeky question like that didn't even warrant a response, so Chu Wanning, with his lashes lowered, ignored it. The Haetang flower that he had sent off with a speed-boosting wind spell quickly scouted through the entire peach blossom's spring. Mere moments later, a golden amulet drifted down from the sky into his hand. The Ancestral Abyss. The Ancestral Abyss was where they went every day to pluck feathers from the fierce owls that dwelled there. The feathered tribe people had said before that the bottom of the abyss was filled with roaring flames, and that anyone, other than the fierce owls that have lived there since ancient times, to slip and fall in there would get melted until there was nothing left. Chu Wanning set a concealment barrier on both of them to avoid detection by the feathered tribe. They arrived at the Ancestral Abyss and looked down. There was an eerie red light and no bottom to be seen, with thousands of owls perched along the walls of the steep cliffs, currently slumbering with their heads tucked into their wings, packed so densely that they looked like countless dots on the cliffside from this distance. According to Chu Wanning's conjecture, if the Zhenlong chess formation was indeed set up within the abyss, then all talk this about roaring flames and getting burnt until not even ashes were left should all just be made up. But how can we be sure that the fire down there isn't actually dangerous? Mo Ran stared at the eerie light down below, murmuring, "It looks real enough to me. Throw something in first. I'll go grab a rabbit then." "No need." Chu Wanning leapt up with a flutter of his pristine robes and disappeared into the forest of peach trees nearby. Then, a moment later, he fluttered back like an immortal exiled from the ninth heaven, a branch of peach blossoms in hand. Mo Ran understood peach blossoms were even more fragile than rabbits, so if the peach blossoms could handle the supposed roaring flames, then it would obviously pose no danger to people. Chu Wanning ran a finger lightly down the branch as he mouthed a spell, covering it with a soft layer of translucent blue light. He pointed toward the abyss and said, "Go on." The peach blossom floated gently down, 1 foot, 2 feet, 10 feet, 100 feet. The branch was too far away to see now, but Chu Wanning could still sense the condition of the flowers from the spell he had cast. He waited with eyes closed for a while before opening them. "The flowers are fine. Let's go." Since Chu Wanning was this certain, there was no need to say anything else, so Mo Ran immediately leaped into the Ancestral Abyss alongside with him. Both of them were proficient in the martial arts, and nimbly arrived at the bottom with ease. But when he saw the scene down here, even though he was already mentally prepared, Mo Ran still felt a shiver run down his spine. He knew what that eerie red light was now. Thousands of crosses stood at the bottom of the abyss, with a member of the feathered tribe tied to each one, completely naked and drenched in blood. There was a lychee fruit stuffed into each of their mouths, the fruit emitting a piercing red light. From above, the collective light of these thousands of fruits easily looked like flames burning deep in the abyss. Note: lychee, a form of punishment in which a person is sliced alive, piece by piece, indicates similar cruelty in the case of this fruit, but not what the fruit is actually doing. Chu Wanning's face looked terrible. He was well learned, so of course he knew that this red-colored fruit was the forbidden fruit that made everyone in the cultivation world go pale at the very mention of it. Putting this fruit into the mouth of a person on the verge of death would extend their last moment into 365 days. In other words, that person would be denied their release and forced to suffer an excruciatingly slow death instead, extending the instant cessation of the heart into ceaseless torment, thus termed lychee. Staring at the throngs of feathered tribe living dead, dense as a forest, Mo Ran murmured, "Soul-locking array." Using the still living as human pillars, resentful energy could be confined therein and prevented from leaking out, even with thousands of souls trapped within a Zhenlong chess formation. No wonder he couldn't sense the slightest bit of resentful energy indicating the presence of a Zhenlong chess formation. Moran couldn't help but shudder as he wondered if the fake Gushin from Jinjinj Lake truly was the person behind the scenes here at the Peach Blossoms Spring. Based on what happened at Jinjinj Lake, it seemed that the fake Gushin only knew the bare basics of Zhenlong chess formation, just enough to control the creatures of the lake. But this time, all of the fake feathered tribe folks out there in the Peach Blossom Springs, other than being a bit dumb and emotionally stunted, were practically undetectable from the original, even being capable of using the unique techniques of the feathered tribe. It was clear that the grasp of the forbidden technique this time was at least comfortably adept. Could the fake Gushin truly have become this proficient this quickly? Chu Wanning walked into the center of the soul-locking array, where there stood a crystal pillar. There was a feathered tribe person tied to the crystal pillar as well, only this one was dead, the lychee fruit in her mouth long since withered, her body in the beginning stages of decomposition. But her identity was clear enough from the yellow robes she wore, embroidered in golden thread with a phoenix, and the star-shaped mark between her brows. This is Moran, startled, this is the real Elder Immortal. Correct. Chu Wanning looked at the forest of human pillars, stretching out as far as the eye could see and said quietly, so many of the feathered tribe were captured for use in the soul-locking array, at least 800, if not 1,000. The Elder Immortal definitely wouldn't have tolerated this were she still alive. I thought it was odd earlier, when I exchanged blows with that Elder Immortal on the outside, that she didn't even seem to be as strong as the ghost mistress of Kaidi Town. If I'm not wrong, it seems that the feathered tribe of Peach Blossom Springs has already been wiped out, and all those outside right now are merely walking corpses under the control of Zhenlong chess formation. Sure enough, Chu Wanning had come to the same conclusions as himself. Moran turned to leave as soon as he recovered from his shock, but Chu Wanning blocked his path with a wave of his sleeve. Where are you going? I have to go tell Uncle and the others. If this is the case, then it's far too dangerous here. Don't be too hasty. Chu Wanning shook his head. Right now, we're out in the open, but the enemy is hidden in the shadows. There are many cultivators at the Peach Blossom Springs and we don't know who's the one pulling the strings, acting rashly might make things worse. Hee hee. Long time no see. Chu Zongshi is still so cautious. A small giggle came from above, but the sound was no different from that of thunder striking the depths of the ancestral abyss. Both of their heads snapped up as blood drained from their faces, only to see a mangled child of the feathered tribe sitting on a branch sticking out from the cliffside, kicking his legs. The dead child tilted his head, a pair of eyeballs soaked in bloody tears rolling around in their sockets, and grinned brightly at them. Moran, Zhenlong chess formation. Chu Wanning cursed under his breath, another white chess piece. Hee, that's right, another white chess piece. The child clapped gleefully, terrifyingly. What, did you think I would come here personally? I'm not dumb. Moran, so you are that fake Gushin from Jinjinj Lake. What do you want, you madman? Hee, who do you think you are, some no-name sproutling, you aren't even fit to speak to me. Tell your master to do the asking himself. You. Chu Wanning's slender fingers came out from his wide sleeve with a sweep to hold down a Moran who was so pissed off there was practically smoke rising from his head. Looking up with a lifting of his eyelashes, he asked coldly, what are you trying to accomplish? The child continued to kick his legs. He was clearly already dead, but under the control of the forbidden technique, he moved non-stop, making all kinds of gestures like a puppet on a string. Oh, nothing much, really. Chu Wanning's voice dropped several degrees in temperature, then why do you keep coming after my disciple? My plan is nothing too important, but I just so happen to need your little disciple's spiritual core for it. The child said, beaming, he can only blame himself for having such a fine core. It's even better than yours by far. I already noticed back at Jinjinj Lake that he's a superb wood elemental spiritual essence. If not for that, I might be more interested in you instead, Chu Zongxi. Mo Ran was about to gag at the way he spoke in a child's voice, but all greasily and with such an adult tone. He snapped, "If I'm ever so goddamn unlucky as to get caught by you, I'll immediately self-destruct my fucking core, so don't even think about touching me. It's not like I want to touch you." The child continued to speak in that infuriating, honey-sweet tone. "I'm only chasing you around cause I have to. All men love beauties, your Shizun is much prettier than you, I'd rather touch him." "You?" Mo Ran bristled, "Some ugly thing like you, hiding behind white chess pieces all day long, too afraid to even show your ugly mug, think you have any right to touch my Shizun?" The child only rolled his eyes at him, as if tired of acknowledging his existence, and turned back to Chu Wanning. "Chu Zongxi, back at Jinchinj Lake, I already advised you to leave things alone, but you just wouldn't listen. I'm so hurt. Since this matter has come to my attention, even if you stop coming after Mo Ran now, I still intend to get to the bottom of things." "I knew you'd say that." The child was quiet for a moment, then grinned again. "Why are you righteous Zongxi types all so stubborn? Fine, since Chu Zongxi won't leave well enough alone, we'll just have to wait and see then. I wanted to see which is stronger, anyway, your Tianwen or my forbidden techniques." Chu Wanning's brows furrowed as he said darkly, "Must you slaughter so many innocents for your ends? The people of the world are like the oranges from Huainan." "What do you mean?" "Sour." The child started giggling, "Super sour. All these worthless people are sour, I hate them, I want to crush them, step on them." Mo Ran. Chu Wanning's voice was filled with killing aura, "You are truly irredeemable. Zongxi deems me irredeemable, but I think Zongxi is just as incorrigible. Our justice differs to start with, why sweat the details?" The child tilted his head to and fro. "Just think of our little spat as a game of chess. You won the match last time at Jinchinj Lake, and, as for this one here at the Peach Blossom Spring, since Zongxi has already found the ancestral abyss and seen my white chess piece, and I've run out of tricks to acquire your little disciple, let's just say you won this one too." He paused, then squinted his eyes in a smile, but only squeezed out more blood in so doing. "But you better watch out. You may have protected him this time, but I wonder if you can protect him his whole life. As for the secret down here, I suggest you keep it to yourselves," the child said, holding a red and gold feather between his fingers. Mo Ran noted with alarm, the golden feathers used as currency in the Peach Blossom Spring. "That's right." He smiled. "These feathers have circulated everywhere by now. If the two of you keep quiet and leave by yourselves, then nothing will happen. But if you don't behave and try to reveal me, these feathers are imbued with the resentful energy of the feathered tribe. They won't kill those cultivators, but they can dissipate the better part of their cultivation." Mo Ran said with anger in his voice, "You planned this from the start." "Well, of course," the child said, incredulous. "Did you think everyone was a dumb brute like you?" Mo Ran. He was so pissed off. He'll admit that he was rather straightforward when doing things and that he didn't know much about schemes and strategies, but to get so overtly called out by this little bastard, he really wanted to summon Jiangui and give him hell, teach him what it means to be a real dumb brute. "Chu Zongxi, I'm sure you know what's best for everyone involved. Even if they learn the truth, with their cultivation greatly damaged, I'm afraid they won't thank your righteousness." Chu Wanning replied coldly, "And I'm sure you've already heard earlier when you were eavesdropping, I wasn't planning to alarm them to begin with for the time being." "For the time being? Haha, so Zongxi was planning to say it later then. But there's no point to that, either." The child beamed as he spoke, "Once these people leave, I'll destroy the Peach Blossom Springs just like I did Jinchinj Lake. Good luck getting anyone to believe you with no evidence." Chu Wanning's gaze was icy, I'm impressed that you had the nerve to call Moran a dumb brute when you conduct yourself all the same. The child didn't mind Chu Wanning's derision in the least. He got up and twirled in place a couple times, then a flame suddenly flared to life at his feet and slowly burned through his flesh and bones. Why don't you save that for when you catch me? Chu Zongji, out of respect for your character, I'll remind you one last time, stay out of this. If you still refuse to listen, then we will certainly meet again. The flames roared into the sky in an explosion. The feathered tribe child used as a puppet was burned into nothingness. A translucent white chess piece fell from the sky, twirled a couple times on the ground and stilled. There was nothing but silence for a while. Moran knew that person wasn't just spouting empty threats, but he also didn't want to just take it sitting down, so he asked, Shizun, are we really just going to leave like this? Do you have any other ideas? Best not to take any chances for now. Let's leave the peach blossom spring first. Chu Wanning's expression was dark as well. Since that person went to the trouble of putting down a soul-locking array to prevent others from noticing his use of the Zhenlong chess formation, that means he still wants to keep things under wraps, at least for now. I will send word to the sect leader to take Xuemeng and Shimei and leave as soon as possible, without alarming the enemy. As for you. Chu Wanning paused, then continued, he was after you, both times. This time around, he planned to frame you with the hopes of isolating you from help. You don't have to do anything further in this matter, the sect leader can step in and take care of it. What should I do, then? Moran asked. It wouldn't be right to make others take care of my mess while I sit on my hands and do nothing. What are you trying to prove at this juncture? It's obvious what that person is after. The holy tree at Jinchinj Lake fell, so he's been looking for a replacement. You are a wood element spiritual essence, suitable for his purposes, but if he can't get to you, then he'll go for the next best thing, and look for something else as substitute. Chu Wanning paused before continuing, and once he finds that something, it will only be another massacre. He must be stopped. That's not wrong, but Shizun, it's not like spiritual essences are all that easy to find. If he wants to find a substitute, he'll have to. Moran suddenly stopped talking and lifted his head, staring at Chu Wanning for a while before continuing, if that little bastard wants to find other spiritual essences, he'll have to check sect by sect. But cultivators don't release their spiritual essence without cause. The spiritual essence is only let out when choosing a new weapon or refinement crystal in order to check for compatibility. So the simplest way to test for the essence is to sell weapons and refinement crystals. Which means, if we just keep watch on the weapon markets near the sects in the coming days, we'll have a pretty good chance of sniffing that bastard out. After saying all that, he noticed Chu Wanning looking at him thoughtfully, and couldn't help second-guessing himself. I guess. It's a good guess. Chu Wanning said slowly, but then, a moment later, felt like he knew a little too much, and narrowed his eyes in suspicion. Moran, is there something you're not telling me? What would I even have to hide from Shizun? Moran said, but the hairs on his back were standing on end, and he felt as if Chu Wanning's eyes, clear as glass, were staring right through this reborn body of his, directly at the soul cowering within. A moment passed in silence and Chu Wanning thankfully didn't press the subject. Lowering his eyelashes, he said, starting now, you will go with me to covertly investigate the major sects. We will not be returning to Shizhong Peak for the time being. End chapter. Dumb Husky and his white cat Shizun. Chapter 77. This venerable one feels very awkward. Chu Wanning and Moran left the Peach Blossom Springs and went all over the place looking for information on when the markets open at the various sects. After several days of hasty travels, they finally decided to stay a night at a small town inn. They hardly got any rest since leaving the Peach Blossom Springs, so Moran had already retired to his own room a while ago. Sitting at the table, Chu Wanning lit the candle and contemplated the porcelain bottle in his hand under its warm yellow light. Inside the white jade porcelain bottle were 30-some golden-colored pills. It was fortunate that Suanji had brought this bottle with him when he came. If not for that, he really didn't know what identity he would have had to assume with Mo Ran. This is new medicine from Tanlang, there's about 30 in there. Suanji had told Chu Wanning back at the cave. He did some research in the ancient archives and changed some ingredients, so one pill will allow you to regain your normal form for 7 days. Here, these should last you for a while. Send Tanlang my thanks. There's no need for thanks. Suanji smiled with a wave of his hand. Tanlang puts on a stern face, but he's the most curious about your condition. Oh, right, he also said to let you know that this medicine isn't too stable and intense emotions might cause it to lose its effectiveness, so be careful about that. Chu Wanning was caught up in his thoughts about what Suanji had said when he heard knocks from the door. He quickly tucked the porcelain bottle away and extinguished the incense in the burner before saying, "Come in." Mo Ran, having just gotten out from the bath, walked into Chu Wanning's room wearing only a thin bathrobe while wiping his long hair that was dark as black jade. Chu Wanning cleared his throat, thankful that his face remained neutral. "What is it?" "My room is no good, I don't like it." "Shizun, can I sleep on your floor tonight?" Mo Ran was being so vague, and Chu Wanning wasn't that gullible, so of course he sensed that something was up. "What don't you like about it?" It's just no good." He snuck a glance at Chu Wanning, mumbling, "The sound insulation is terrible." Chu Wanning furrowed his brows, too noble and chaste by nature to catch his meaning. He pulled on his outer robe without another word and walked barefoot over to Mo Ran's room. Mo Ran couldn't stop him even if he tried, and could only follow after. It's a little bare, but not so much as to be intolerable. Chu Wanning stood in the room and looked around, a note of scolding in his voice. "When did you get so spoiled?" Just then, a burst of crashing sounds came from the room next door, like something heavy falling to the floor. Mo Ran really couldn't bear to listen to it anymore, so before things get even worse, he reached out and tugged the corner of Chu Wanning's sleeve, pleading, "Shizun, let's leave already." Chu Wanning's brows furrowed. "Really, what's the matter with you? Just what do you find so objectionable?" Mo Ran opened his mouth, but before he could get his words together, coquettish giggles drifted over from across the wall. "Chang Gongzi is so naughty, always bullying me, NNH, and no wait. Ah. Hee, babe, this peony at your chest is so pretty, let me take a whiff, see if it smells nice too." The walls were so thin that even the rustling of clothes on the other side could be heard, the rough pants of the man and the sweet moans of the woman mingling together into something truly harrowing to hear. Chu Wanning actually didn't understand what was happening at first. It wasn't until a few moments later that he suddenly put two and two together, pretty eyes flying wide open while the color of his face changed rapidly from white to red to blue and then finally settled on ashen as. He cursed, shameless, and stormed angrily out of the room with a sweep of his sleeve. Pffffft. Mo Ran failed to hold it in and started laughing quietly from behind. Luckily, Chu Wanning was so flustered that even his arms were swinging out of sync as he walked stiffly away, and so didn't notice Mo Ran laughing at him. Only after getting back to his room and downing a whole cup of tea did he finally regain some semblance of composure. He nodded toward Mo Ran. "Such obscene sound is indeed detrimental to cultivation. You may stay here tonight." "Oh." Truth be told, Mo Ran was beside himself with shock and happiness in equal measure when Chu Wanning suddenly appeared at the Peach Blossom Spring and did everything to protect him without doubting him in the slightest. Now that things have calmed down, he couldn't help feeling all giddy. Right now, under the candle light, Shizun's habitually impassive face somehow seemed a lot cuter. Sitting cross-legged on the floor with his chin propped up, Mo Ran's eyes curved into a smile as he stared at Chu Wanning. "What are you looking at? I haven't seen Shizun for so long." I just want to take an extra look. Voice full of smiles, gaze warm and bright. Now that he's looking, Chu Wanning really does look quite like Shizun. Chu Wanning glared at him. Instead of looking at me, go wipe your hair dry instead. How are you going to sleep with it dripping like that? I forgot the towel in my room. Mo Ran grinned. Shizun do it for me. There was a period of time before when Shuemeng got injured and couldn't lift his arm, and every time he washed his hair, Shizun would always wipe it dry for him. He always did it very quickly by regulating his spiritual energy to warm the towel and evaporate the water. Chu Wanning looked at Mo Ran and his perfectly functional limbs, then humphed coldly, "You're neither sick nor injured, why would I do it for you?" But still waved him over. The candle cast its warm light on Mo Ran's incomparably handsome face. Almost a year had already gone by since his rebirth, and he was just at that age when growth spurts happened. Without even really noticing it, he had gotten quite a bit taller these past few months. Right now, sitting on the bed, he was nearly the same height as Chu Wanning. This kind of height made it a little difficult for Chu Wanning to wipe his hair, so Mo Ran leaned back on his arms and shifted his body lower. Standing at the side of the bed, Chu Wanning wiped at his long hair with an exasperated expression. Mo Ran yawned contentedly, closing his eyes to enjoy this rare moment of peace. Outside the window, a frog croaked now and again. "Shizun. MN. Did you know? The feathered tribe's illusion sent me back to Linan, 200 years ago, and I met someone named Chu Sun. The wiping movement didn't even pause. How would I know that?" Mo Ran rubbed his nose with a grin. "He looked just like you. There's plenty of similar looking people out there, nothing strange about that." "No, really," Mo Ran said, all serious. "He was practically made from the same mold as you." "Shizun, do you think he might be your ancestor?" Chu Wanning replied mildly, "It's possible. But, something from 200 years ago, who can say? He had a son," Mo Ran continued, "who looked just like Shizun. I feel like all this is a bit too much to be just coincidence. Shizun, maybe Shizun is a lost relative of yours." "I don't have any relatives." "That's why I said lost," Mo Ran mumbled. He was so close to Chu Wanning that he could smell the light, soothing scent of Haetang. It smelled so good. No matter which lifetime, Chu Wanning's scent always seemed to calm him down. In the past life, whenever he returned from a bloodbath, he always had to bury his face into the crook of Shizun's neck just to breathe again. Whether he wants to admit it or not, he was already hopelessly addicted to Chu Wanning's scent. He closed his eyes and slowly relaxed into the familiar tranquility as he let his consciousness wander in the flow of time. In the last life, when he returned to the empty Wushan palace after another slaughter, soaked head to toe in rain, he had clearly committed so many sins. Instead of feeling victorious, he felt as if he was nothing more than a drenched stray with no home to speak of. At that time, he would sit and wrap his arms around Chu Wanning's waist, bury his face against his abdomen, have him stroke his hair over and over again. It was the only way to calm the madness inside. Those bygone dreams were already things of the past, of another life. But with his eyes closed like this, they seemed like only yesterday. Noticing that the chatterbox had stopped talking, Chu Wanning lowered his lashes and glanced down at him. In the dim light of the candle, his face was relaxed, at peace. Although his face still had a touch of the soft tenderness of youth, his features had already matured into striking definition, like natural handsomeness blooming through a haze, but still carrying that deadly freshness and vitality of the young. Chu Wanning's hand wavered for a split second, and his heart seemed to beat a little faster. He had no idea what compelled him to call out in a soft voice, "Mo Ran." Mo Ran absent-mindedly mumbled a reply, and then, as if exhausted, leaned closer and pressed his face against Chu Wanning's waist like he used to do in the past life. Chu Wanning. Thump. 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 His heartbeat was rapid in his chest like war drums on a battlefield, the reverberations making him dizzy. Chu Wanning pressed his lips together, not knowing what else to do. He could only continue to wipe at Mo Ran's hair, steaming away the last droplets of water. A long while passed like this, then he set the towel down, brushed aside some stray strands of hair from Mo Ran's forehead in passing, and said in a low voice, "All done. You can go sleep now." Mo Ran opened his eyes, black with a tinge of purple and still a bit dazed, only gradually becoming clearer after a few moments. Finally breaking out of his daze and noticing that he had gone so far as to give in to habit and lean into Chu Wanning's waist, and even more unexpectedly, that he actually hadn't been shoved off. Mo Ran was startled to say the least, his eyes opening wide in dumbfounded astonishment, looking just like a dumb dog. Chu Wanning originally still felt a bit uneasy, but he couldn't help smiling at that look on Mo Ran's face. Mo Ran saw that he was actually smiling, however lightly. It was definitely a smile, and his eyes became even rounder. He sat up straight, hair a bit of a mess, and suddenly said very seriously, "Shizun, there's a scent on you, it smell really nice." He paused, then suddenly furrowed his brows, as if trying hard to remember something. Consternation crept into his expression when he managed to remember it, and he mumbled, "Huh, that's strange, doesn't Shizun also smell like this?" Chu Wanning's expression went rigid immediately. He flung the towel onto Mo Ran's head before he could react, and physically tossed him off the bed, saying in a cold voice, "I'm tired now, get the hell off and go to sleep." Mo Ran landed stupidly on his back, caught completely off guard. He lay on the floor in a daze for quite a while before sitting up and rubbing his nose, not mad at all. Then obediently got up to make his bed on the floor. End chapter. Dumb Husky and his white cat Shizun. Chapter 78. This venerable one's Shizun has a nightmare. Chu Wanning and Mo Ran spent the night in the same room. Mo Ran, unbothered by anything, fell asleep on the floor in no time. However, Chu Wanning's thoughts were restless and erratic, tossing and turning for a long time before finally dozing off into fitful slumber. His eyes were close and he could hear the howling of the wind by his ears. Chu Wanning opened his eyes to find himself kneeling in the snow. A dream? But why did it feel so real, as if he had actually lived through it at some point? It was the middle of winter, the sky dark and gray and heavy with clouds that stretched to the distant horizons and covered the land. The snow had piled up past the ankle, freezing the very ground itself, and even the thick cloak draped across his shoulders couldn't keep out the wintry bite. Looking down, he saw a sky blue cloak lined with fur, sewn with intricate patterns in silver thread. It looked familiar somehow, but the feeling slipped away between one moment and the next. Chu Wanning tried to get up, unsure why he was having this kind of harrowing dream, but it was as if his body was not his own. He continued to kneel motionless on the ground, even when snow covered his shoulders and specks of ice stuck to his eyelashes. He still showed no intention of moving. "Chu Zongxi, it's getting dark, His Majesty surely won't be seeing you today, let's go back." The quivery voice of an elderly person came from behind. The him in the dream didn't turn around, even as footsteps approached, crunching through the snow, and an umbrella appeared above him. Chu Wanning heard himself say, "Thank you, Lu Gong. You're getting on in age, so please head back to the pavilion first, I'll be okay here." Note, a gong gong, suffix dash gong, is a court eunuch. "Zongxi." The elderly voice still wanted to say something, but Chu Wanning said, "Go on." The feeble voice sighed and heavy steps walked a few paces away, but then turned back around and the umbrella reappeared over him. "This old one will keep Zongxi company." Chu Wanning felt his eyes close in the dream and nothing else was said. It all seemed so strange, this ridiculous dream of his. The words they uttered were absurd, incomprehensible. What was all this His Majesty and Lu Gong nonsense? These phrases of inner palace politics didn't belong in the cultivation world he knew. He tried to look around at the surroundings of the dream through the lowered lashes of this body. The place looked like Shizun Peak, but some things were different. The structures were more or less the same, but much more lavishly decorated. The corridors around the courtyard were draped with lilac-colored veils dotted in embroidered stars, and bells carved into the shape of dragons holding pearls dangled from the roofs, clear, crisp jingles dancing faintly through the air whenever a gust of wind blew past. He was kneeling facing the main hall, where a row of guards, in uniforms that he had never seen before, was stationed in front. He wondered which sect they were from. The sky gradually darkened, and a line of palace maids, with their hair done up in the traditional style, filed out from a side door to light the standing lamps on either side of the palace gate with fair, slender hands. The lamp was as tall as a person, with 9 layers each, including 49 hatang-shaped lamps hanging from slender copper branches. Candles at the centers of the hatangs glowed brightly, light scattering on the ground like the starry sky from above, illuminating the front of the palace in dazzling radiance. Finished with her task, the head maid shot Chu Wanning a glare, malice in her voice as she smirked coldly. "It's freezing out here tonight, who are you putting on that pitiful act for? His Majesty and the Empress are currently delighting in the revel rise. You can kneel there for as long as you like, no one is going to care." How impudent! All his life, no one had ever dared to speak to Chu Wanning like that. He opened his mouth angrily, but although the voice that came out was his own, the words spoken were not. "I did not mean to interrupt his leisure, but I truly have important matters to discuss. Please inform him." "Who do you think you are? Why should I play messenger for you?" The head maid sneered. "His Majesty and the Empress are quite enjoying themselves right now. Who would dare disturb them? You can stay right there if you really want to see His Majesty, maybe he'll spare you a glance in the morning." Humph. The old servant behind Chu Wanning couldn't take it anymore, saying in a quivery voice, "Yes, His Majesty favors your mistress, but shouldn't you still look at whom it is you're speaking to? Take at least some care in your words. Whom I'm speaking to? Who here at Shizun Peak doesn't know that His Majesty hates him the most? What need is there to be respectful toward him? Bold of you, senile old fool, to lecture me." The head maid's eyes were wide with rage, ordering angrily, "Guards! What do you mean to do?" The feeble old man, back hunched from age, stepped forward to block in front of Chu Wanning. The palace maid glared at him and said coyly, "Extinguish the fire basins." Right away. Guards immediately went to the basins in the courtyard and put out the fires burning within. Chu Wanning thought to himself that the maid had a sharp tongue, but she wasn't dumb after all. With the temperature being this painfully cold, she had no need to argue with them or do anything directly. She only had to put out the fire and the courtyard would be as an icy cavern, too cold for even the hardiest people to tolerate. The night grew deeper, music and song drifting without cease from the warmly lit palace. Chu Wanning was still kneeling. His legs had gone numb long ago. "Zongxi! Go back!" The old servant sounded like he was about to sob. "Please go back, your body can't take this. You know how His Majesty is, if you fall sick from this, he probably won't even send a physician. You have to take care of yourself." Chu Wanning said softly, "This ruined body is hardly worth anything. I'm willing to die if I can just stop him from attacking Kunlun Palace." "Zongxi! Why go to such lengths?" The Chu Wanning in the dream was already greatly weakened. He coughed a few times, but his eyes were still clear and bright. "Everything that he is today, all of it was my fault. I..." Cough cough. He couldn't finish speaking before being overtaken by an alarmingly violent coughing fit. Chu Wanning covered his mouth with his sleeve, tasting iron in his throat. His hand was covered in blood when he pulled away, crimson against the snow-white world. "Chu Zongxi! I..." Chu Wanning still wanted to say something, but black washed over his vision and he collapsed into the snow, unable to hold on any longer. There was a confused racket by his ear, a sudden chaos, but it also seemed so far away, as if separated by layers of fog, oceans apart, and he could barely hear the commotion around him. Hazily, he heard the old servant yelling in a panic, but could only catch a few scattered words. "Your Majesty! Your Majesty, please! Chu Zongxi can't hang on much longer, please grant him an audience, this old one will gladly die." The disturbance grew and spread, footsteps came from all around, lights turned on. The melody of instrumentals and the sweet voice of songstresses came to an abrupt stop. The palace gate seemed to have been flung open, and there was a gust of warm, fragrant air from the inside. Chu Wanning felt himself being picked up and brought into the warmth of the palace hall. A large hand touched his forehead, then immediately flinched away, as if stung. A low, familiar voice bellowed dangerously, "Why was this venerable one not informed?" No one answered. The man flew into a rage, and there was a loud crashing sound of something heavy being smashed. He continued to roar, voice booming like thunder inside the hall. "Are you trying to defy me? He is the master of the Red Lotus Pavilion, this venerable one's Shizun. And not a single one of you came to notify this venerable one that he was kneeling outside? Why was this venerable one not informed?" Someone fell to their knees with a thud, trembling all over. It was the head palace maid who was flaunting about earlier. "This lowly one deserves death. This lowly one saw that your Majesty and the Empress were in good spirits, and dared not disturb." The man paced briskly back and forth a few times, but rather than subsiding, his anger only grew worse. His black robes, trimmed with gold, billowed across the floor like a dark cloud before finally stilling, and his voice was twisted when he spoke again. "His constitution is poor and can't take the cold. That you made him wait in the snow without informing me, and even put out the fire in the courtyard." His voice shook with rage, and he drew in a deep breath before continuing. The words he spoke next weren't loud, but his tone carried a killing aura that chilled those present to the bone. "You wanted to kill him." The maid went pale from fright, her head banging repeatedly against the ground until her entire forehead was blue and purple, voice pitches higher through her trembling lips. "No. No. This lowly one wouldn't dare. Your Majesty. Please have mercy, Your Majesty. Take her to the platform of sin and virtue and execute her. Your Majesty. Your Majesty." The shrill voice scratched along the inside of his ears like blood-red nails as the dreamscape began to shake and fall apart under her terrified shrieking, the scene scattering and disintegrating like the drift of snowflakes. "Do you have any idea how much effort it took this venerable one to drag him back from the gates of death? Aside from this venerable one, no one is allowed to hurt so much as a finger on him." That hoarse voice was perfectly calm, that very calmness framing the frightening madness beneath. Chu Wanning felt that person come closer and stop in front of him. A hand gripped his jaw. Blearily, he opened his eyes, trying to get a look at that person. Under the bright, dazzling lights, he saw a blurry face with strong, pitch-black brows, a straight nose and eyes dark like the blackest satin, with a faint tinge of purple in the light of the candle. "Mo Ran. Shizun." The voice was in sharp definition all of a sudden. Chu Wanning's eyes flew open. He was still lying in the room at the inn, it was still dark outside, and a lone candle flickered on the table. Mo Ran was sitting at the edge of the bed with one hand pressed against his forehead and the other braced on the bed, looking at him worriedly. "What did I?" He felt all out of sorts, the dream had been far too real, and he couldn't quite break out of his daze for a while. "You had a nightmare. You were shaking so much." Mo Ran said, tucking him in more, "You looked like you were freezing. I was worried you might be running a fever, but thankfully not." Chu Wanning uttered a quiet "oh" and turned to look at the slightly opened window. The sky was still dark outside, the night deep still. "It was snowing in my dream," he murmured, but said no more. Chu Wanning sat up, burying his face in one hand and taking a moment to steady himself before exhaling slowly, must have been too tired. I'll go make some ginger tea for Shizun. Moran looked worriedly at the paleness of his face. Shizun, you look terrible. Chu Wanning didn't respond, so Moran sighed and without really thinking, instinctively pressed his own forehead against Chu Wanning's cold, sweat-drenched one. If you don't say anything, I'll take it as a yes. Startled by the sudden closeness, Chu Wanning reflexively leaned backward a little, "Mn." Moran, not quite awake, offhandedly stroked his hair like how he used to in the past life before pulling on his outer robe and going downstairs to borrow the kitchen. A little while later, he returned with a wooden tray. Moran wasn't heartless. Chu Wanning had rushed to the Peach Blossom Springs to save him and had also gone to great lengths to protect him. No matter how much resentment he held toward this person before, right now, he was grateful. The tray held a pot of steaming ginger tea and a small jar of brown sugar. He knew that Chu Wanning didn't like things with overly strong flavors but quite liked sweet foods. And, besides the ginger tea, he also got a mantu from the kitchen, sliced it into thin pieces, soaked in fresh milk, then fried until crispy and finished with a sprinkling of powdered sugar to make a plate of simple light snacks. Color gradually returned to Chu Wanning's face as he held a cup of ginger tea in both hands and sipped slowly from it. He picked up a piece of the sweet crispy mantu between porcelain white fingertips and contemplated it for a while before asking, "What's this?" "I just threw something together. It doesn't have a name yet." Moran scratched his head. "Try it, Shizun, it's sweet." Chu Wanning disliked fried foods, thinks them greasy, but hearing the word sweet, he still held one to his lips and hesitantly took a small bite. Is it good?" Moran asked experimentally. Chu Wanning glanced at him and said nothing, but picked up another piece to eat with the ginger tea. The pot of tea and plateful of snacks quickly disappeared. The remnants of the nightmare also dissipating like smoke in this warmth. Chu Wanning yawned and lay back down. "I'm going back to sleep." "Hang on." Moran lifted his hand to wipe at the corner of Chu Wanning's lips. "You got some crumbs there." Looking at that open smile on his face, Chu Wanning's ears felt a little warm despite himself. He turned his face away with a mn and paid no more heed to him. Moran collected the dishes and went downstairs to return them. When he came back, he saw Chu Wanning lying on his side facing the wall, perhaps already asleep. He walked up and quietly put the curtain down, but Chu Wanning suddenly spoke, "It's cold at night, don't sleep on the floor anymore." Then, Chu Wanning, with his long eyelashes lowered, really wanted him to stay, but the word sleep up here just wouldn't come out, even as the tips of his ears kept getting warmer and warmer. He cared for him and so didn't want him to sleep on the floor, but he also liked him and didn't want him to leave. But his face was so thin and he well knew that even if he did manage to get the words out, he will surely just be rejected. Then he would lost both his dignity and his veneer. Even just thinking about it made him feel pathetic. Things were so much easier as Yasini. Little ones were allowed to be a little willful. But Moran had been good to him today, even remembering that he liked a lot of brown sugar in his ginger tea. Was it okay for him to think that, maybe, Moran actually does care for him a little bit? The thought made Chu Wanning's chest warm, and he blurted it out in a moment of hot-headedness. "Come sleep up here. I'll go see if they're done yet and go back to my own room if so." They spoke at practically the same time and Moran didn't fully process Chu Wanning's words until after he had already finished speaking. His eyes widened slightly when he did. "Sounds good." Chu Wanning concurred instantly, as if rushing to cover up what he had just said. "Go on. Shizun, you. I'm tired, you can leave." "All right. Rest well, Shizun." He left, the door creaking open and then shut. In the darkness, Chu Wanning opened his eyes. His heart raced in his chest and his palms were covered with sweat, humiliated by his loss of self-control just now. He really had been alone for too long, to mistake just a tiny bit of kindness and care from someone else as sincere tenderness. Like an idiot. Irritated, he turned over and buried his face into the pillow, sinking into a bottomless self-loathing. He was well aware that Mo Ran liked Qi Mingjing, that there was nothing between them but the distant politeness of master and disciple, yet that person from the dream appeared unbidden in his mind. The same exact face, only older. The way he had looked at him with a surly expression and eyes too deep to read. The door opened again with a creak. Chu Wanning froze immediately, his entire back going stiff, like a bow stretched taut. Someone came over to the bed. There was a moment of silence, then he felt that person sit down at the edge, bringing with him the light scent of freshly laundered clothes. "Shizun, are you asleep?" No response. So Mo Ran continued, voice even like he was discussing the weather, "They're still at it." He chuckled softly and lay down next to Chu Wanning with his head propped up on one arm, gaze sweeping over the other person's back as it very obviously and visibly tenses several degrees. More. Is Shizun's offer from earlier still open? Shizun sure likes to ignore people. If Shizun doesn't say anything, I'll just take it as a yes again. Humph. Mo Ran's eyes curved into little crescents, black-purple and flickering with amusement at the cold humph that came from the other side of the bed. If doting on Shimei was his habit, then teasing Shizun was a game he never tired of. He never could figure out just what it was he felt toward Chu Wanning. All he knew was that this person made his heart itch, made him want to bare his fangs and bite him until he either starts crying or starts laughing, although it was just wishful thinking for the most part. But whenever that face, ever cold and impassive, showed some slightest bit of emotion because of him, Mo Ran would get fervently excited. "Shizun." "Mn. Nothing, just felt like calling you." "Shizun. Out with it if you have something to say, shut up if not." "Ha ha ha." Mo Ran laughed, then suddenly thought of something and asked, half joking half serious, "I was just thinking, but Shizun and Shizun really are far too alike." "Shizun, is he your son?" Chu Wanning had gone through far too much emotional turmoil for one night and was in a sulky mood. To suddenly have Mo Ran make fun of him like this, he couldn't help feeling irritated. "Pfft, I was just messing with Shizun, don't min." "Yes." Chu Wanning answered coldly. "He's my son." Mo Ran was still grinning. "Oh, that's what I figured, so he's your son. Wait, son." His eyes flew wide open as if he'd been struck by lightning, mouth hanging open in disbelief. "SSSS son." And Chu Wanning rolled over and pinned Mo Ran with a deadpan gaze, his face deadly serious and without the slightest hint of jest. He had blundered too much tonight and worried that his facade might not hold. Since Mo Ran wanted to make this joke, he might as well take the chance to muddy the waters. Whatever it takes to make sure Mo Ran doesn't find out that he likes him. Thinking so, Chu Wanning calmly picked up the pieces of his dignity that he had dropped earlier, and said with all seriousness, "Xiaosini is my illegitimate child, even he himself doesn't know about this. As of right now, this is a secret known by the heaven, the earth, you, and me. If ever a third person were to find out, I will absolutely end you." Mo Ran. End chapter.